Hello and welcome to ERi-TV English News and happy Eid to the Islamic faithful. I'm Miriam Gamay bringing you the latest top stories that are making headlines around the world. Here are the major headlines of the hour. Eid al-Fitr al-Mubarak celebrated nationwide. Meeting on schools infrastructure, Galanafli subzone. China's foreign minister says both sides of the Taiwan Strait belong to China. North Korea accuses G7 of interference by calling denuclearization. Eid al-Fitr al-Mubarak was colorfully celebrated across the country today, 21st of April, with prayers and congregation of the faithful. Salah prayer in which government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, as well as a number of the faithful took part was conducted at Bahti Maskaram Square, led by Sheikh Salim Ibrahim al-Mukhtar, Mufti of Eritrea. On the occasion, Sheikh Salim Ibrahim al-Mukhtar gave a briefing on the background of the holiday and wished a happy Eid to the people of Eritrea inside the country and abroad in general, and the followers of Islamic faith in particular, as well as the Eritrean Defense Forces. Sheikh Salim also called on the faithful to extend hands to the needy. The event was broadcast live by the national television and radio. A meeting focusing on the significance of schools' infrastructure on the teaching and learning process was conducted on 20th of April in Adguada, Galanafhi subzone. At the meeting, in which representatives of the Education Office branch, school directors, as well as representatives of the National Association took part, Mr. Daniel Salomon, head of the Education Office in the subzone, said that the objective of the meeting was to assess the influence of school infrastructure has on the teaching and learning process. Indicating that the schools in the subzone have been constructed long time ago, Mr. Zoengil Hagos, head of the pedagogical service in the subzone, called on the public and other stakeholders to strengthen participation in the effort to renovate the classrooms as well as the compounds of the school. The participants on their part expressed readiness to contribute for the renovation of the schools. Speaking at the event, Mr. Mahari Yohannes, administrator of Galanafhi subzone, called on area administrators and the public and concerned institutions to strengthen participation in the effort to develop teaching and learning process. This was everything for our domestic news. I'll get back to you with international news in just a moment. Stay tuned. China's foreign minister Qin Gang said today that both sides of the Taiwan Strait belong to China and that it is right and proper for China to uphold its sovereignty. He made the remarks at the Lanting Forum in Shanghai. Qin said recently there has been an absurd rhetoric accusing China of upending the status quo, disrupting peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. And he added that fair-minded people can see who's engaged in the hegemonic bullying and high-minded practices. It is not Chinese mainland, but the Taiwan independent separatist forces and a handful of countries attempting to disrupt the status quo. He further noted that those who play with fire on Taiwan will eventually get themselves burned. China has recently held military exercises around the island. North Korea's position as a nuclear weapon state will remain undeniable, and it will continue to build its forces until military threats from the United States and its allies are eliminated, state media KCNA said today, 21st of April. The coded remarks by the North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Song-hu came in a statement criticizing the United States and other groups of 7 countries. The G7 foreign ministers condemned North Korea's solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missiles and urged denuclearization at the meeting in Japan on Tuesday. Tension has flared in recent weeks as the isolated country has ramped up military activities and threatened threatened of a more practical and offensive action as U.S. and South Korean forces conduct annual military exercises. Cho said Pyongyang's development of nuclear weapons was only intended to guard against U.S. threats, urging Washington to drop its hostile policy against the North to ensure its own security. It is anachronistic to think that the right to and capability for the nuclear strike is exclusive to Washington, KCNA quoted her saying. Cho accused the G7 countries of illegally interfering in North Korea's internal affairs by demanding denuclearization, saying Pyongyang will take strong action if they attempt to violate its sovereignty and fundamental interests. The chief of staff for Mali's interim president, Omar Traore, and 3 others have been killed in an ambush, the government said on Thursday. The ambush took place in the rural area of Nara in Mali's southwestern Korikolo region, the statement said, without providing any further detail on when the attack occurred or who was responsible for it. Mali is one of the several West African countries battling armed groups during the past decade. Frustrations against the authorities' failure to cool the violence have spurred 2 military takeovers in Mali since 2020. Those were the top stories for this hour, but before we finish, a little reminder of the news headlines. Eid al-Fitr al-Mubarak celebrated nationwide. Meeting on schools infrastructure in Galanafli. China's foreign minister says both sides of the Taiwan Strait belong to China. North Korea accuses G7 of interference by calling for denuclearization. This was everything for tonight. Thank you for being with us. Wishing you a pleasant and happy Eid. This is Miriam Gurmai. Good night.